No, right. We are live. What's going on, y'all? This is BMOC. You're now tuned into BMOC.TV. The second episode of The Culture. Thank you guys so much for the love that you guys shared on the first one. We appreciate it, and we're back. It is now weekly, so every Monday, check out BMOC.TV or YouTube.com/BMOCTV for the next episode. I have my great, talented, super dope co-host, Blast. Say what's up to the people, man.
Hey, how's it going, man? It's Blast, aka Teddy Penderblast, owner of Slim Ross Apparel, which can be found at www.slimross.com.
Is that the Slim Ross shirt you got on?
It is. It's the Martin joint. Like when he did the Nino Brown, like Cole, if you don't sit your, tell them before I make change.
Oh my gosh! Check out his site. Check out his site. I'm going to make an announcement right now. I have a Slim Ross shirt I am wearing in two of my reviews. The J-Rock coming out and Tamar Braxton. So look out for the shirt I got. It's going to be on both of those reviews. The next one. Deshaunus, West Coast, say what's up to the people.
What's up, people? What's up? Thank you for the support. Episode 1. We're back. Shout out the same folks. 3500 Burbank, 916. Slim Ross t-shirt also on the way. We got to support the movement and the culture.
That was the West Side Side. I didn't mean anything. I just went to the store. I don't rep anything. I have no click. Nikki, say what's up to the people. Nikki, what's up?
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Nikki of lookfabulous.com. That's FABULESS.com for all of your styling needs.
Nikki, they were asking about you. One person was like, "Who's that girl in the brown video?" I was like, "Oh, you look at that Nikki,
bruh."
Look at Nikki.
That wasn't me. But that wasn't me. That was Don Peter.
No, they said you. They said it was the brown in the back. You had the brown. You got the brown in the video. That was you.
You had the brown background?
Yeah, you the brown. They said the brown background. They said it was you.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant brown shirt.
No, they saying brown sugar. All right, cool. All right. So we have a few topics today. The first topic that's really been bugging me, man, is I want to pull it up. K.Michelle wants to publicly announce that she's not dating black men anymore. She's dating white guys. Let me actually pull up the exact thing. So this is what she put on Instagram. She says, I love sunflowers, gummy bears, wild animals, and sorry I don't listen to R&B music right now. It just bores me. I love rock. Country men who wear tight jeans and have foreign accents. I love me a handsome Caucasian man. I'm really not into black men right now. They can date outside of their race, so can I. Where I'm from, gangsters don't tweet beef and actually love the size of my ASS, whatever. So she felt the need to publicly tell people that she's not dating black guys. I've seen this happen before. I've seen this happen before on a celebrity level where they're like, I don't date dark-skinned women, or on a Facebook, a girl gets hurt, and she says, oh, I'm not dating any more guys from New York. They're all just dogs, and they treat me bad, and I'm going to date a down south guy or whatever. So, and we love K. Well, I think K.Michelle is a dope, phenomenal artist. But why do you think that she feels the need to want to like express this to the world? Nikki, talk to me. As a female, what are your thoughts on this?
My question is, who cares?
Right.
Who cares what K.Michelle likes or doesn't like? Who exactly is she?
Well,
like, I didn't hear anything about her.
Fighting people, but
they don't know who she is either. I didn't hear anything about her until the whole thing with Idris happened, and then I was like, oh, the girl that sang that song who doesn't speak English to the best of her ability. But I don't think it matters who you date because no one cares.
Yeah, it's just like I don't.
Black men treat you. I mean, it's gonna be the same all the way around. Men are men.
Yeah, it's just, I guess it's like this rumor, I guess, that like black guys are dogs, and I'm kind of like, well, Robin Thicke just had a pretty, interesting scandal, Just before you think it's green on the other side, look at Robin Thicke. Robin Thicke's an example of what could happen. Look at Robin. Blast, man, what's going on, man? Why do you think she feels the need to say this? Why do we care? What's going on?
One, I don't think we should care, and I don't think that's something that you publicly display. Like, just say, like, I've had interracial relationships in the past, and it's like you'll see. I'm not gonna say, "Hey, I date white women." It's just say, "Oh, Blast dates white women." It's kind of that thing, not me announcing it. It's just something you figure out by looking at like how I live my life.
Right.
So she's bothering me with the fact, like, one, I think was seeking attention. and her Bilderberg butt does enough of that for her, so she wouldn't have to go elsewhere. And I'm not bashing because I do listen to her music.
Yeah, listen, K.Michelle, and I know Nikki ain't really feel her, but K.Michelle is not a bad artist. Like, she definitely puts together some music, but I felt like your target market is black women, right? This is my issue. I'm just gonna cut to the chase. We'll get to you, Jonathan, in a second. My issue is your target market is black women. So when you speak out, you're speaking to your fans, your audience. You're telling them, oh, well, I'm not into black men right now. They're not really gangsters on Twitter. Like, what does that have to do? First of all, you're incorrectly defining what a black man is. Then you have to feel the need to, like, bash us because you were hurt by somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, have you dated every black man in the world? I don't know. So, Deshauna, tell me, man, what do you think about this, man? When people do this, what are your thoughts?
Man, I'll piggyback off what you said. From my first point is that she's speaking from a place of pain, obviously, somewhere, because, you know, that's where it generates from. Even more importantly, the statement that stuck with me was, I'm not black. I'm not white. She went into this whole different identity, self-efficacy thing that she got going on that's even more troubling than just the date thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a split, you know, it's kind of like a split decision on one half. She used the words, I'm free. So I'm like, she's kind of free from, you know, those stereotypes and those things that you feel put into a box. I have to like X, Y, Z, and, you know, these things because I'm black. So I understand the liberation part, but she wasn't mature enough not to want to announce it. And not only that, to try to disassociate yourself with a whole lot of things via one Instagram post. It's like black, get to the statement. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what I like or what I do, not necessarily to disassociate yourself from all these different things that you assume are negative or, you know, putting you in a box. You know what I'm saying?
I hate generalizations. Like, I hate this. And I see it a lot on Facebook. And not picking on K.Michelle, a lot of people do this. Like, I've seen people before, well, somebody gets into a breakup and they want to make a Facebook status. So that's it. I'm off of all guys from down south. They're too slow. I need me a man. I'm like, you dated one guy for 2 weeks. Y'all went to McDonald's. He hit. You upset. And now you're off of all men from the southern region below the Mason-Dixon. Like, why don't you just text him? Text him. He probably didn't even see it. He's probably scrolled past the status.
Well, you gotta be careful with stereotyping. That's what she was doing. She was cast typing all black men.
And then another thing is, apparently she has a type, and you keep picking from that same pool of types, and you get the same results. So why don't you try and date someone different instead of just saying, I don't want to deal with any more black men?
But it's not like
she's holding herself accountable. That would mean she's holding herself accountable, Nikki. People don't do that.
She's getting a bad rap, you know, and once again, you know, we're, you know, nothing against K.Michelle because, you know, I'm sure she's a huge fan of ours and we're a fan of hers, you know, BMOCTV. But I wonder if black folks from other countries sit back and be like, why us? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, because United States women are like, I don't like black men. This is dudes sitting in other parts of the country, in England and Africa, like, all black men, you ain't been out here to this country, you know, you ain't been to this. They be real bad at us sometimes. Like, look, if them dudes from Cali don't stop messing it up for all the sisters, I'm gonna be real hot.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm really gonna lose sleep because you don't like black guys. Like, or there's a whole mystery of like, girl, you don't get to lose no weight. If you go to Paris, they love big girls. They love a girl who's 500 pounds. They love you over there. These American men are tripping. I'm like, yeah, go to Paris and find out.
You don't see any truly overweight women in Paris.
No generalize, Blast. I'm sure there's a big girl right now in Paris right now.
I bet she got a passport. Because we over here feeding people just harmless and just crap, and they take their health serious everywhere but the U.S.
So my other question is it wrong to have a preference, right? Like, is it wrong to say what you do or do not like? I don't know if it was Tyga. I think he said something about dark-skinned women, or if it wasn't him, you know, YouTube will let me know. They'll always let me know. But Tyga said something about like dark-skinned women or something in his lyrics. He said he preferred lighter women. So is there something wrong with?
He prefers children, so I don't think we can take anything he says, but with a grain of salt.
He waited it out. He was like, she can vote in 17 days. If I just wait.
He waited for nothing.
Yeah, he was red shirt for real. But so is it wrong to have a preference? Is it wrong to state your preference, Deshauna? What's up?
It's not wrong to state it, but I just feel like when you get some life experience, man, you get some curveballs thrown at you. A lot of married folk will tell you, you know, this ain't the person you sketched out when you was playing MASH. He was asking who was gonna be with, you know, so you know, it's like you gotta once you get the life experience, you be like, these women are attractive, but man, it's a big world out there. You know, I don't think you need to go off stating what your preference is. Just get you to it. It's hard enough finding the same stable person these days. So you might want to make that your preference, not, you know, a skin type or a body type. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely. You know what's so funny? On the same topic, somebody was, and I hear this a lot from different females, not to generalize, but they'll say, you know, guys are super visual, right? You know, girls are getting butt shots because guys like girls with big butts, or they're getting, you know, this weave in the hair because guys like weave. And I'm like, well, I feel like women are visual too. Like, do you know Idris Elba? Do you know Trey Songz? Do you know Usher? Because when the pics come up, you're like, oh my God, Usher, oh my gosh. I would say, yeah, for him. Oh, Idris Elba, oh my God. He should be James Brown all night, honey. You know what I'm saying, Paul?
James Brown?
Well, not James Brown, my bad, James Bond. But, but that's what they, yeah, he could be James Brown for some people. But yeah, so like, Nikki, like, do you feel that men are more visual, or do you just feel like it's just like a cop-out for women who want to do what they want to do anyway?
Well, everybody's visual. It is a bit of a cop-out because the whole butt shot thing, you're trying to be like the next person, like these video people or like these artists, and if you get butt shots and you live in the hood, you're not going to end up with like Trey Songz. You're not going to end up with those people. You're going to end up with Ray Ray from down the block who just
He'll hit though. He'll
No,
probably
I mean,
shout out to
but let's not be ignorant about our preferences. Let's be realistic about this.
Yeah, like, so you really gonna risk your life because you saw two dudes turn their neck at some girl with a big butt when their wives probably don't have elephant butts themselves. Like, I feel like they don't do enough. Like, you gotta do your research. Research this. Okay, God, you're gonna know something large on somebody, right? Somebody could have a large left arm. I'm gonna notice it. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean I would have married somebody with a large left arm. You know what I mean? Just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would have noticed it because it's big. Yeah. Women notice girls with big butts.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we want to marry it.
And everybody's not attracted to big butts.
Well, yeah, Blast. Talk to us about this, man. So what's going? Because you all in the mix. You all in the, you know. I don't want that to out, but
yeah, I mean, I got a preference, but I'm with Deshaun. It's like the older you get, the more it's just like commonalities and like your personality. Well, I can say personality because looks play a part too, but like just being on one accord and like just getting to know a person in general. It's not necessarily about just butt shots, but I do have a preference. But my preferences are more based off of spirituality and what you bring to the table as opposed to your outer appearances.
There you go, Blast. What is your mental like? What are you talking about?
Right.
So yeah, I thought it was interesting to talk about, man. You know, it's a fine line between stating your preference to putting people down. I feel like hers was so like it came out of a hurt and anger. And cause she could fall in love with somebody tomorrow who's a black dude or not. You can fall in love with whoever you want to fall in love with. But I think just that whole thing of like not dating black men and real black men aren't gangsters on Twitter. It's like you just jump from not dating black men to associating men being gangsters. You know what I'm saying? It just was like, you're not dating us because we're gangsters. I don't get it. So maybe you're just dating gangsters. Maybe you know.
Get you
and some people are prisoners of their community. Like if people say all the time, oh well, I don't see other black people. I don't see other cultures cutting people down like black people. But you only grew up around black people. So how would you know what other cultures do? Try it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can be a good person or a bad person, no matter the color of your skin or where you're from.
Right.
So
very true.
If you're only dealing with scumbags, then stop dealing with scumbags. All you're gonna do is get a white scumbag. But good luck. All right. So I think
best
the next
wishes,
topic.
K.Michelle. Best wishes.
Oh yeah, please, yeah. I'm not gonna lose any sleep, K.Michelle. I think you're very talented. By the way, if you want to do some music, holler at me. Let me know. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody cares.
Just don't beat me up. All right. So the next topic I think was like the biopics. Who has not seen Straight Outta Compton? Everybody seen Straight Outta Compton?
Yeah.
First of all, Nikki, how was the movie? What did you think about it?
It was honestly the best movie I've seen this entire year.
Wow.
It was good. Like, it wasn't good, isn't even a word to describe it. It was an excellent movie from start to finish.
I loved it. Deshaun, what you think about it, man? West, what you think?
It was dope. Like, it was so dope that I didn't realize it was like almost 3 hours long, or 2 hours and 30 minutes, however long it was. Right. It was like captivating from the first scene until the end, and it plus left me like wanting to do my own research too, and that's what I got out of the movie. The fact that I wanted to learn more about the whole NWA movement as opposed to what I thought I knew. There's a lot of stuff in that movie that I had no idea happened.
Yeah, me either. I'm ashamed to say I've never heard a full Easy album.
I
just knew Boys in the Hood. Like, that song, I'll play that song religiously. That's the only Easy song I truly knew until that movie.
Yeah, I've heard a lot, obviously all the Cube albums. I heard all the NWA. I've never heard a full Easy album, which I was like, wow, I need to go back. Deshaun, what you think about that, man?
So this is a big topic of discussion amongst the homies out here in California because, we kind of live this, and so some of the homies is like, it was a great movie. Emphasis on the movie, because they're hip-hop historians.
Gosh.
They like it's stuff like they were like, I don't like how Easy was the only person that got beat up in the movie. Like Dre is knocking people out, and they kind of like they didn't play Easy to the extent like Easy has some self-respect, but it's like Dre wasn't a gangster. Why we see him knock 3 people out, but I saw Easy just got beat up by Suge, and Easy, so they was just talking about stuff like that, when they looked at some of the Jerry Heller interviews, talk about how, he had a different take on some of the money issues and, just a lot of different pieces. They were like, man, you can kind of, in their opinion, they could tell that it was Dre and Q's influence because they left out looking like, Easy drove down the street and looked at a chronic billboard and was in tears.
It just happened to happen. No, the funniest part to me at the end of the movie is when Suge is like, so, what you gonna call your label? And Dre was like, Aftermath.
What?
That was that Batman moment.
And then the movie ends. And I'm like, wow, that was pretty. Everything else was A1. That part was like, that was kind of convenient, just a little bit.
Right, and you take it, like I said, it is a movie, so you don't trip when you see the bye Felicia and the joke. You got to keep it lighthearted because, it's a movie, we understand.
Right.
So, I didn't have a problem, but this is why I got my boys to throw the little wrench in it because I left like that was a great movie. It captured as much as it could of trying to keep it NWA and not too many individual accolades, but, that's kind of the feedback from what I was getting. We were just talking 2 days ago about how, they just don't like, some of the things, like Dre was just chest to chest with Suge. Suge can beat up Easy and get Dre out of the contract. Like he walks out of his contract. You know what I'm saying? So that's just some of the things they was bringing. But great movie though. I mean, it was good. Yeah. But yeah, that's the feedback from the street.
I really enjoyed it, man. Me not living that lifestyle. I mean, I love the fact how they tied it in with the police brutality because that's been so rampant. Yeah. Especially the past couple of years, the whole Trayvon Martin and Eric Garner and stuff like that. So I'm glad that made that relevant with the music. There was some talks, too, about people being upset about the whole domestic violence thing with Dr. Dre and D. Barnes and Dr. Dre and Michelle A., how those things were conveniently left out of the movie, which I can see it from both sides of kind of like you only have like 2.5 hours. But to skate over it entirely, I think, was a little convenient.
Michelle A. for at least a minute.
Yeah, even if
think of her voice, but for a minute she could have got there.
Yeah, even if they were like, wow, Dre, you wilding out, your brother's going crazy, you hitting women, for being reporters, like what's going on with you? You know what I'm saying? At least that mentioned, but just to skate completely over it, it was a little.
That's another part about being equal, right? So if it was just a movie to focus on the music and they didn't have anybody's issues in there, then I'm fine. But don't put Easy stuff in there with his women. Every time Easy left, he was going to be with a woman or doing this and that. You got everybody else's baggage in there. So then you got to include your baggage, or don't include, nobody's baggage and just kind of keep it a lighthearted movie. So it's just, kind of gotta have that. You gotta have that equality in there and make sure that everybody's represented, except Yella, because Yella just didn't really get too much.
Yella had 7 lines the whole movie.
Yella was chilling. Yella getting that Easy check, though.
Like, DOC had more scenes than Yella.
Listen, right. DOC was in it a lot. No, my issue I had was Warren G. Like, Warren G, I didn't even mention Warren.
No. They didn't mention him at all, but I like the person who was in the studio with Snoop, I assumed it had to be Warren G.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. And, like, people don't know out there in the YouTube world, but like Dre met Snoop Dogg and Nate Dogg through Warren G. They were 213. They were a group. I think it was the LBC, right? Long Beach. And Warren G's obviously Dre's step brother. I think Dre's mom got remarried or something like that. And so he didn't get any mention, but there's supposed to be a director's cut when F. Gary Gray said it. So hopefully they at least talk about that. Because that's
Bone got a mention.
Huh?
Bone got a mention.
Bone got a drop.
Yeah, Bone does the little cassette tape. I'm like, Warren G doesn't get. I mean, that's crazy. But other than that, it was a great movie. They did an excellent job. You can obviously nitpick it. We're all music heads, so we can nitpick it to death. But I mean, in terms of what they can do, it was, like Nikki said, it's probably the best movie I've seen this year. Maybe even one of the top movies I saw last year, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. So the next question is, who do you guys think? Who do you guys like to recommend or nominate to be the next big biopic from an artist or group? So, Blast, who you got?
Just based off of Bobby Brown alone.
Oh God, that would be a good movie.
I need New Edition.
Oh man, yeah.
Like Bobby Brown is that David Ruffin type, like just volatile, and you just know his scenes alone would make the whole movie dope.
Temptations Part 2.
Yeah, then you got like Johnny Gill, like just the whole, and then I want to see like how Bill Biv DeVoe broke off and became their own group, like just that whole New Jack Swing type era featuring like just New Edition. I need that ASAP. And I'm not talking about BET or VH1 produced. I'm talking about like hit the big screen. We want to see Bobby Brown now.
Not BET centric, not TV One. Shout out to them. But no, we need like
turn-based channels, but I need that on the big screen.
Right, absolutely. Deshaunus, man, who's next? Who's next for you?
So I put some thought into this, right? Mm-hmm. And for me, there is still a polarizing figure or figures who haven't had, so Drake recently let us in a little bit. Nas would be kind of cool, but he lets us a lot in his writing. Eminem had partially some of his stuff, and a lot of people, but Jay is very personal. Jay-Z is very secretive. Him and Beyonce are very kind of secretive. So I think a Jay biopic, and if it was done right and he let us in more, would be great. You pair that with Beyonce, how they met, some of the family things going on. And let's be honest, we need a biopic or some sort of stuff that doesn't have consistent drug use, abuse, or end in some sort of tragedy. So I think that would be a great highlight note that people would be interested in. I won't go down that same pattern of, X, Y, Z. Every time we have a biopic, it's a death, it's some drug use, it's abuse, adultery, whatever it is. I think that might be a real solid one to bring to the table, and if they can unearth enough personal information, it can be classic.
Wow, that's good. I never thought about that.
That would be a good one.
That's dope. Nikki, who do you got? Who you nominate?
I think, I think what Deshauna said was that would be a good idea, but I'm really with the New Edition. It would be great if there could be a whole New Jack Swing era type movie.
Yeah.
To follow the progression of the area.
Andre Harrell, Uptown Records, Heavy D. Yep. That would be excellent. That would be dope.
And you cover everybody from New Edition, Jodeci, Tony, something like that would be a really good hit on the screen. I would see that several times. So
piggyback off of that, my nomination actually would be Puffy, would be Diddy. You know what I mean? Like, that would blend in him being at Uptown Records, him working with Jodeci and Mary J. Blige and Heavy D and being around that whole camp, him going to college, him and Andre Harrell having it out, and him becoming the fired intern, starting Bad Boy, and just going through it. They touched on it in Notorious, but like Puffy really has his own legacy, his own history. Because in the 90s, he ran that. Like, say what you want, but from the groups and just what Puffy was thinking. Because I feel like a lot of people speak for Puff, and I'm saying Puff because I was watching Making the Band all weekend, and RB kept saying Puff, Puff, Puff. So that's what I'm saying that. But just to like get into his mind of what he thought, and how he felt when Big died, and how he felt when Mace wanted to leave after making him a great artist, or the things people say about him when he tries to put his money into his energy into a group and they don't make it. So I would love just a great 2.5-hour movie from Puffy's point of view.
Now, with the Puffy movie, or are we keeping it all the way 100? Like as far as like the contracts and like who, like with Puffy, my thing with Puffy would be like who is telling the story? Is it from his point of view?
Yeah.
Or from like the industry as a whole's point of view? Because like I'm pretty sure Puffy would protect his legacy. Yeah. Basically,
he has to keep it real, and the contract and the stuff. We all know the stuff about Diddy, right? We know that there's this rumor that he puts people in contracts. He's not a fair guy. And I think part of that, and not to defend him, but part of that is the music industry in general. And I think because Puffy is such a public figure that he is an artist, you see his face. You can point and be like, you're doing this wrong with artists. But to be honest, for what I've seen in the industry, he's not doing anything different than the rest of these cats. Right. He's probably doing more. It's just that you can say, I know who Puff Daddy is. I don't know who such is.
And part of that, too, is why I was comparing him and Jay, and he edged out, because I'm like, well, I've seen Puff operate. I've seen making a band. I still maintain we can have those until this day. You can't run out of art. We can have that. I love that show. You know, so that's what I was saying. We feed into, but like Walter said, it's the business, and I don't think Puffy would hide from that. He's like, look, I'm a shrewd business person. Right. You know, we can feel sorry for these artists, but you know, some of those artists, the Day 26, those guys, is like, you know, I don't know if he took from you necessarily. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you didn't have a great contract, but you had a contract, and I don't know if nobody else is going to. You know what I'm saying? So he will put his own spin on it.
Absolutely, I think he could definitely have so like Blast. I definitely think all of it needs to be in there. Right. And a lot of his moves came from what he learned in the game, and I can only speak for just, again, some dealings and some things I've had with meeting people from the camp. I really honestly feels like he doesn't go into a situation saying, I'm out to hurt you. I think what happens is that he's such a visionary that when you don't match his vision, he's like, okay, well, do what you want. You may have to chase me to get out of some stuff. I did my best for you. But he paid almost every artist 2 albums. Most labels don't give you 2 albums.
He gave 2 albums. 112, more than that.
More than that. And these people, you know, they do what they want. So to Puffy's offense, I want to see, I think that's why I would help to know his whole story. And to kind of figure out where he comes from. Because we have books, we have reality shows. We pretty much know what every artist felt about Diddy, you know what I'm saying, that we could ask. But we've never really heard Diddy's full story of how he feels and the decisions that he's made since the beginning.
Right. I'll go see a Diddy biopic. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah, and just from childhood, from growing up in Harlem to his dad and some stuff, so from all that, going to Howard and getting Biggie hot and just the East Coast, West Coast, and his best friend dying, like the death threats, that whole Suge Knight, that whole thing has to be told.
Whoa. And the whole Shine thing.
You said what?
And the whole Shine thing.
Shine in the club, J-Lo, a lot of that. You about to say something, Deshaun?
Yeah, we don't just throw Suge's name out there like that. We don't want that kind of heat.
I'm sorry, listen. I don't want no problems with nobody.
Who? Diddy? Mason on him. I know about that. I don't know nothing about no beef with Thug Knight. I don't know nothing about that.
The backpedal a little bit to Straight Outta Compton, and listen, I'm no punk. You know, I'm a man's man. You know what I'm saying? But yo, Ice Cube's a scary dude, man. I feel like Ice Cube wakes up frowning. Like, he don't eat ice cream. He don't go to the beach.
That's hilarious.
He's just like hard. Like, he's just either like, where my money at? I'm coming to your core? I'm about to come to your core to get my money? You know what I'm saying? I feel like he's like,
he had to put that face on because he's busting in from the burbs. He had to let that.
Yeah, he's like, are we there yet? No, we ain't there yet. We gonna get there though.
Yeah, anytime I see Cube in a family pic, I'm like, that's not the Cube I know. I know that's on the Cube. Who is this Cube?
It's whatever Ice Cube he wants to be. I don't want no problem with Cube. Cube looks like he'll run up on somebody right now.
You making a movie in Greenville? Holler at me.
So one of the other topics I want to touch on, and speaking of these biopics, is, you know, we see so much in the media, especially in 2015. You know, you had Chris Brown, you know, had the whole situation with Rihanna, where they had the domestic violence dispute. You have Diddy, who we know, you know, the contracts and stuff like that. And just, we know people's lifestyles. And when you guys listen to artists, does their lifestyle really matter to you when you listen to the music? Are you able to separate who the public portrays them to be versus if this is a good song or not? Nikki, what are you going to say about that?
It depends. For Chris Brown, I honestly, truly do not like Chris Brown.
Okay.
I may have liked Run It. I may have.
That was back in like 2003 DC.
Like, I may or may not have liked Poppin'. I may have rooted for your death and Stomp the Yard. I don't really like Chris Brown. So when it comes to his music, I'm not here for it. But there's so many other people who've had the same afflictions. We just don't know about it. James Brown was a woman beater, but we just kind of let him slide. I mean, look at Turner. Ike Turner was a terrible person when it came to his hands, but his music was still dope, so we let it go.
Ike Turner didn't have a Twitter page, though. That's the thing. Ike Turner wasn't on Twitter.
Man, can you imagine?
I think that's the thing. We don't know about it, but still let it slide. But with Chris Brown, it's so in your face, it's hard to see anything else. But personally, I don't like him, so I don't care for his music that much. But it does affect you.
So Blast, when you hear things, we know R. Kelly. We would agree that R. Kelly is a R&B icon.
Right.
He's a living legend. But it's hard to like skate over the fact that it's multiple stories of him with underage girls, the Aaliyah stuff, the sex tape, him doing stuff. When you're listening to 12 Play, when you're listening to tp2.com, .net, .org, does that affect your opinion of the music?
The music, yeah. I don't want to sound like a hypocrite.
Yeah.
We got to be on camera. We're going to sound like hypocrites on all these episodes.
Yeah, we are. Like I know what Kills is like capable of, but musically, like he still gets played for me. Like I'm more of the TP2, 12 Play type. Like once all that stuff happened with like the urination debate or whatever scandal, I kind of left Kills alone. And then he came out with Step in the Name of Love, and I heard that every wedding I went to, so I'm like, oh, I got to look at Kills now. So I can differentiate the two, but it's very hard. Like my problem is like more so with the people who make music that's not authentic to their lifestyles. Like my problems are like with the Rick Rosses of the world, or because everybody has vices.
Right.
But I can separate. All right, if I hear Ross, I'm like, oh, this is Rick Ross. This is not Officer William Roberts. It's your persona.
Oh. So
yeah. So that's what like I don't do Chris Brown at all. Like at all.
Wow. Okay. Deshaun, man, how you feel, man? Like, you know, is learning about an artist that kind of ruin the music? Are you thinking about that? Were you actually listening to the song and the album? What's up?
So, like Glass says, you know, for me, it's not so much based on my own beliefs and preferences. That's not my gripe with artists. You know, unfortunately, maybe it should be, and it may evolve, you know, with those things. But it's the content and it's who you told me you are, right? So, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Frank Ocean had a dope album, you know what I'm saying, like that. So I can't be like, oh, you know, if you, you know, it was dope, you know, and it's hard to sing some of the lyrics from, you know, my standpoint. But every artist has a proclamation and, you know, and kind of tell you who they are. So if you start to do something different than what you tell me, I'm going to have an issue, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, once again, I'm a fan of Drake. I'm sure he's, you know, a fan of ours. But when you say, that's why I never ask for help, right. I do it for you ninjas and do it for myself. And then this come out, now I have a problem. Drake could have had a whole lot of other stuff going on in his life, and I protect, hey man, he's an artist, I respect the pen. But then when that happens, this is who you told me you are. You know, Kanye, you know, what did Kanye say? I don't need right tears, I might bounce ideas. You know, so that's when I'd be like, you know, this is not who you told me you are. That's the guy that I was a fan of. So it's not the lifestyle stuff, but Kanye pushes it real close. You know, a lot of blasphemous type things that make it hard to follow. Yay.
Yeah, I can't do that either.
You know what I'm saying? But, you know, for the most part, that hasn't been my issue. It's just always the content. You know, if you're telling me one thing, you know, I remember reading an article, you know, about the Clips, Watching Don't Kill Me, you know, and that's one of my favorite groups. And he was like, well, I never even seen this amount of car. You know, we out here riding a pickup truck. I'm like, man, you had to at least, like, and like, you know, like sell some baking powder or something. Like, man, this all your bars. Dope bars, you ride around shining like you can afford it. You better go race something, man. Like,
I'm like, what are you grinding? What are you grinding? But nah, like, yeah, I think I'm kind of in between both. Like, it is hard for me just working in the industry and just seeing like stuff made. It's almost like watching a toy being created. It's like a lot of it isn't real. For me, I force myself to try to focus on the content. I will admit, you know, I'm a person who grew up seeing domestic violence. That's a really like touchy situation for me. So when the whole Chris Brown Rihanna thing came, I really wasn't rocking with Chris. And so it's this thing of like forgiving people and letting the music speak, because Chris Brown, I mean, he's a dope artist. You know what I'm saying? You can't take it away from him. I think he knows that, and I think that's the problem. I think he knows how good he is. So I kind of backed off from him, but I'm a hypocrite because I was bumping R. Kelly's music. So it's kind of like you said, Blast, every artist has a vice, and every artist is not going to be 100% of what you want them to be. They're people. We all have things that we have issues with. So it's just hard when it's out there. Like, I wish sometimes we didn't have access to information. Like when Sade was out and Anita Baker and, you know, Houdini or whoever, these people were out, you didn't have Twitter, you didn't have Instagram, you kind of didn't know what they did. I mean, if they did something, it must have been really bad for it to make it to the newspaper. Like when Dr. Dre beat up D. Barnes, that was bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, we wasn't seeing them in hotel rooms with women. We could assume it because of their lyrics, but we wasn't seeing it on a daily basis. We didn't have access like that. So it's hard with Michael Jackson and the whole child molestation thing.
Those are a lot.
That was tough. That was tough. And like, man, I hope Mike can do it. I'm 30. I'm still like, I hope Mike can do it. You know what I'm saying? Because I wanna play Thriller. I wanna play Dirty Diana and hope he's talking about somebody. You know, I ain't trying to get into that, but I hope, you know what I'm saying? So it's hard, man. But yeah, and with stuff like Straight Outta Compton, with Drake and the Ghost Rider thing, it's kind of like watching a magic show and just seeing how the magician does the trick sometimes. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just want to focus on how cool the trick is, not if Houdini was a drug addict or if Penn and Teller smacking up their wives when they get home. You know what I'm saying? You kind of want to just see somebody disappear and come back to life. You know what I'm saying? Drake
is not authentic with his music, though. Didn't Drake say, "Diss me, you'll never hear a reply from it"?
Yeah, he won't get money like that back then, though.
Yeah.
That was a mixtape. I want to be successful. He's successful now.
And that's another piece, too, that I'm open to growth. You know what I'm saying? So with a lot of these guys, I mean, man, I remember some of the stuff I used to write at 17 and 18, you know, and then a lot of these guys don't get on until they're 30 and have careers until they're 35. So I'm open to different growth and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to always be super consistent, but the basis of who you are and the content can't just, you know, sway with the weather, you know. So I'm open to certain things. I don't try to be too fickle, but, you know, it's always props for guys that, for me, I'm not a super everything has to be gangster dude. It's like, man, if you tell me this is what you're doing and that's what you're on, then, you know, that's real to me.
Nikki, so if there is a way where tomorrow, and it was made that, like, every artist, you couldn't have access to them, you could only hear the music. Well, I'll make it simpler. Chris Brown, if the whole thing could be wiped away clean, and why are you making that face?
I don't like Chris Brown.
Everything was a rumor. He's really a nice guy. Would you give Chris Brown another chance of an artist? If everything was wiped clean and it was all false, and he's just a good guy, a good clean kid who makes great music,
no.
Would you be into it?
No. Not at all, not in the least. I don't enjoy Chris Brown. I don't enjoy his music. Maybe one or two, maybe 3 singles I may have gotten with, but as a whole, no.
So is it the music, or is the fact that it's the music and he's done things that have been questionable?
It's the music. A lot of the things that he says, I don't care for it.
Okay. So you don't watch This Christmas either?
No, I've never seen that movie.
I mean, that's a staple in the Blasting Game household.
That comes on BT Centric every Christmas. Even Thanksgiving. It's like This Thanksgiving. They changed the title.
Well, I don't have to worry about that because I don't have cable.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I'm gonna buy you a remote, and we're gonna touch back on this later. All right. So the last topic of the night, man, we've talked about this a lot in the Facebook group. Cheap plug, facebook.com/group/BMOCTV. We talked a lot about what a classic is. And this is my biggest gripe when it comes to just debates. And this goes out to everybody. That's like an old DJ. This goes out to everybody. This goes out to everybody who was born in the 60s, right? And maybe the 70s. Not everybody, but some of them. I feel like people are so nostalgic when it comes to music. There's nothing wrong with being nostalgic, right? Because obviously when we're in school, Jay-Z looked like a superhero. Nas was superhero. And all these people, we grew up, we talked about it at school. Our era, we waited for stuff to come on MTV. We waited for stuff to be on the radio. It was a big event. Just standing by the cassette player, waiting for your song to be played on the radio. That was an event. Making the video, and those were events, right? But I feel like sometimes we get so stuck in that era that an artist could come out today who can sing better than Whitney, who can rhyme better than Biggie, who can fly and levitate, and they still won't ever match up because they didn't come out in 1995. Or if you're born in the 60s, 70s, they didn't come out in the 80s and the 90s. So I love when I meet somebody who's born in that era, the 60s and 70s, who can say, oh, wow, I like Kendrick Lamar, or I like J. Cole. Not, oh, there's no good music out. There's nothing to listen to. I don't buy CDs anymore because everybody's terrible. There's nobody can sing. So it's like I feel like sometimes people from that era, not everybody, again, it's some people who I interact with, they don't give new artists a chance because they don't feel that it's classic. Because to them, a classic is when it came out when they were in high school, when they were in middle school. Nothing could ever be classic. So Blast, what do you think about that, man? What defines a classic, and is it just more nostalgia based, or is it based upon the quality of the music?
I think it's based upon personal preference and quality of the music. I think the word classic is like thrown out way too much because you really don't know an album is classic until it becomes timeless. Like there's certain things I listen to now, like Southern Playalistic, like certain things that albums that they're just, no matter if I listen to it when I was like 11 or if I listen to it now, it has the same meaning. Like, so I think that's really what defines a classic, but a lot of it has to do with nostalgia. Like, if I ask somebody from up top who Big is their favorite artist, they're going to be like, yeah, Life After Death is the best album ever. And me down here, I could be like, nah, it's not messing with just because that's my preference. But, like, I think that word is thrown around so loosely. But I think it has to have no skippable tracks. Like, from 1 to 17, skits and all. I shouldn't want to miss a beat. That's what makes it classic.
Now, does it matter? I'm a pinpoint that. So, does it matter? So, let's say you have an album out that came out now, like for instance, Kendrick's "To Pimp a Butterfly," right? A lot of people are calling that classic. I've been on record and said I think that's going to be a timeless record, right? But because he didn't come out in 1984, between 1984 and 1999, people have a hard time putting that classic title on it. So, Deshauna, do you think a newer cat coming out now? You can't say this person could be a classic artist in the next 10 years.
Yeah, and see, part of that is, like you said, you have to be open to it and realize, like, we have differentiating cultures throughout the U.S. So there, to me, are two types of classics. You know, there is the culture of where you're from classic, and then the unanimous worldwide classic. If you grew up in 1995, you were bumping E40 in a major way, and you were watching Friday. Friday is now a national classic. You know, everybody came on and it's Friday. But at the same time, E40 is not. But if everyone in your city is playing this album daily, then that's a classic to those people. Now, when it comes to Kendrick Lamar, another point we spoke about with some of my boys is like, back in the day, we had the privilege to listen to an album for years. You know, like Bobby Brown tour was Don't Be Cruel for like 8 years. He toured that thing like he was getting. Now we listen to an album like Pimp Butterfly that's conceptually on level 50, and we're trying to rate whether it's a classic in 24 to 48 hours. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. And then you start comparing it to like the Blueprint. Well, I know every word, every beat, every ad-lib on the Blueprint. I listen to Pimp a Butterfly and can't yet recite the wordplay, but I'm trying to compare it. So that's what when you talk about like what the young artists have to grow up to. So I made it a point recently, like I said, a lot of research stuff. You know, it's like I don't want to give my opinion anymore until I've heard To Pimp a Butterfly and J. Cole's albums and those albums like 5, 6, 7, 8 times, so I can at least start to fall in love with some stuff because you will never be able to get past the moment. You know, a Smith Gym Party when Excuse Me Miss come on, it's gonna always be above something when you 30 now and you just playing it on the way to work. So it's hard to balance that out.
Yeah, and I think that too, man. I think it's hard to like put those labels, like because even the music industry has changed so much. And when I debate with people, and again, not picking on the people born in the 60s, 70s, because some people in the 80s, my era does this as well, we forget that the business has changed completely. Michael Jackson could wait 3 years in between Thriller and Bad. And artists now can't wait 2 weeks. They got to have 5 mixtapes and 4 albums, and they have like 1 million features because people are so... they don't have a great long attention spans, right? So you got to hit them. Everything's hit them. You couldn't go on Twitter and tweet Prince. You know what I'm saying? Like, Prince didn't have a mixtape. You know what I'm saying? So it was like the industry was different. So when the album finally came out, you waited so long, it felt classic because of the wait. And you had to buy it on a vinyl or a cassette. You had to listen to the whole thing. You couldn't just skip it. You couldn't just buy the Purple Rain song. You had to buy the album. You had to actually listen to what was going on. So I think a lot of that impacted how we received music. And then that made things classic. So Nikki, what do you think about it?
I think, you know, a lot of what you guys said is true. It's about nostalgia. It's about, like, right now, if somebody plays Down Low, then, you know, we get hyped. Like, we remember that. We waited for that video. We know how it feels when we heard that at that time, so we can say that's classic. I think a lot of it is about how you felt when you heard it, or an album that you can play the whole way through and not skip any tracks. So to say something that's made now, if someone made it this week, you want to know if it's a classic by next week, and that's not possible. It's just something you have to feel. It's really about feelings, how you felt when you heard it, where you were when you heard it. Those things kind of make it classic as a personal thing.
Absolutely. I think we mix in how we feel about something to the versus when it actually came out. Like I said before about Nuke Undercover. Nuke Undercover is one of my favorite shows. Me and my mom actually watched it together. Well, look back on it now, the first season, I was like, man, some of the acting and the storyline, I don't really know, but I feel something. I remember what I felt like when I saw it. So it's not to say something out right now couldn't be better than that, because I'm sure there's a million shows that are probably better than Nuke Undercover, but because of how I felt when I saw it, when I was way back in middle school, that to me makes it a classic. Like DeJohn said, I think every Clips album is going to be classic, because I remember being in VA and playing it. Do I expect everybody to think it's a classic? No, I don't, because you were in Virginia Beach. You didn't get the reference of I'm from Virginia. Only thing we do is cook. Like, you didn't get it, so I wouldn't expect people to get it. But when we had these debates, people be like, oh, well, what do you mean that wasn't a classic? What are you talking about? And I'm like, fam, I was listening to Houdini. I'm only 30 years old. I wasn't walking around listening to my name is this and my name is that. Like, I respect it, but it's not classic to me.
Right. That's just like when we had the movie debate, when we were talking about good movies that are classics, and someone said Poetic Justice, and here comes Chad. Oh, no, it's not, because Tupac was in it. No, it's not. That movie was awful. That movie was straight garbage. It's like, bro, you can't determine what I feel is a classic, and that's really what determines a classic, how I felt about it.
Yeah, and I can't shout out that name, because I don't want to. He's not here to defend himself. Hopefully, he'll show up on the video.
Show up that name.
But I feel like a cat. That's why I say the older cats. I like when I can talk to a cat from the '60s. They'd be like, oh man, you know, I like my stuff, but I'm digging J. Cole. Or I think A$AP Rocky's kind of cool. I love those conversations. I hate people who are just so closed-minded, and I don't want to be the person, 20 years from now saying, oh man, that person can't rhyme like Biggie. That person can't rhyme like that. Like, I want to be able to be open. I can say that somebody from this era can rhyme just as good or better than somebody from the 90s. I'm not afraid to say that. I feel like people are afraid to say that because I feel like it diminishes their feelings and their emotions. They're not open to it.
I always tell folks about this when it comes to, to compare LeBron. Like, being a 30-year-old, like, we forget how Jordan was. Like, once you started to watch basketball, Jordan was already great for a lot of people. You don't remember, like, the Knicks fans, a lot of people hated Jordan. He was this guy that wore chains. He was selfish. He wouldn't pass. He would never win. It was like 8 years before he even broke through. And we forget when LeBron went through that same exact thing. People were like, he's not Mike. He's not Mike. That's how we do in music. It's like you forget when folks weren't listening to your favorite artist or we're talking about putting them in a box. Right. We do that because we're always looking here from an adult perspective. We don't remember, like you said, when we were kids, Master P was lyrical and Juvenile was
it was superheroes. They were larger than life.
Yeah. And now we get older and we be like, oh, how do you listen to Future? He ain't spitting no bars, but it was like, go listen to some Cash Money stuff that we was playing.
Hootie hoo! Hootie hoo! All right. Well, yeah. Well, thank you so much. I think that's gonna probably that needs to be a reoccurring segment we have here of just nostalgia and classics, man. Because the reason why I even started this channel is because I kept hearing people say, well, Walter, you work in the music industry. How come there's no good music out anymore? And I'm just like, bruh, you didn't hear Jasmine Sullivan's album. You didn't just hear Tamia. You didn't hear Kendrick. You didn't hear A$AP Rocky. And I'm throwing these names out. He's like, well, they not Method Man. They not Big Daddy Kane. They're not Cool G Rap. And I'm just like, Yeah, because you haven't listened to them for 30 years, but that doesn't mean they're not good. Like, give them a chance. You are actually hurting yourself. You're closing off what you could be listening to. There's some great musicians out there, even on the independent level. So YouTube wasn't created back in those times. YouTube R&B, and you'll find tons of artists that are now on the radio that are great. So yeah. So closing out the show, thank you guys so much. Shout out something that you listen to right now. What y'all listening to this week? Blast, what's up?
Oh, actually, I can tell you what is the last thing I listened to.
You still in your Bobby Womack?
No, I've gotten a little bit more current. It's a lot of Compton, man. I was just in that.
Ah, yeah.
It's like my iPad played One Shot, One Kill. It's like on Monday, and I was like, you know what? I need all that in my. So it's been a lot of Compton, a whole like G-Funk West Coast era. Even though Compton's not G-Funk, but yeah, just a lot of Chronic, a lot of Doggy Style, the album, and.
I feel like I'm working. I feel like I'm getting paid off of Compton. How much I promote?
You should be. If not, you should be.
I'm about to get a shirt and be like, "Bye, Compton." Deshaunus, man, what you listening to, man?
So we was having an intense debate the other day, me and a couple of my boys, man, and it's this whole. One of my boys is a Jay-Z hater, and he talks about how on another level Andre 3000 is. You know, and I'm like, Andre 3000 could hit some home runs, but he's not consistently batting just better than Jay-Z when it comes to
Whoa.
That's
let him go, Blast. Let him go. We wrap it up. We wrap it up. Let him go.
To go back, I'm listening to Southern Playlist, Big ATL, and I'm going through the Outcast Chronicles this week, so I've been knocking them, enjoying myself, you know what I'm saying, like that, but we'll come back to that later. That's what sparked that. I'm in research mode. I'm always in research mode. I don't do this for fun. It's all for the people.
He going back to college for hip-hop. I'm not mad at it. Nikki, what you listening to right now?
Well, I love country music, honestly. I put
okay, girl.
So a lot of like old country's been coming up, but one of my favorite shows out now is Nashville. That soundtrack, last 2 or 3 have been really good. So I've been kind of going back, going through that. So.
Let me find out you hanging out with K.Michelle, Nikki. Let me find out.
I was thinking that too. Man. Nikki, don't go over. Don't go over.
You wouldn't be able to find me if I was with her. I'm small.
I'm actually going to Nashville for business in a couple of weeks. I gotta holler at you, Nikki. I know nothing about country music. I know Blake Shelton. I
like Blake Shelton.
Oh,
yeah, I know Blake Shelton. That's pretty much. I don't know.
Tim McGraw.
Yeah, Garth Brooks. Hall and Oates. Hall and Oates country?
Hall and Oates is not country, friend.
Okay, well, there we go. What am I listening to right now? I'm listening to, Scarface, Deeply Rooted. That album is incredible. I don't know if I'm going to have time to review it because there's so many projects coming out, but Scarface, Deeply Rooted is dope. I'm listening to a lot of Anita Baker. Man. Going back to the Rapture, going back to all that. She's such an incredible artist. So, Scarface, Anita Baker is what I've been on. I checked out Rick Ross's mixtapes. I did a review on, which was like Rick Ross, but the mixtape was and then Travis Scott's was okay. So sorry. So thank you guys again so much for tuning in to this. I love this. This will be every week, every Monday. You can check out new episodes at youtube.com/BMOCTV. Please subscribe, or BMOC.TV. Thank you, Blast. Thank you, Deshaunus. Thank you, Nikki. You guys are dope.
Thanks for having me.
You guys, and thanks for being halved. Pause if that's. I just made a new start. All right, so thanks for watching, and we're out. Peace.